What do Americans do when we feel anxious about the economy? We spend less on things like travel and dining out, and we watch more TV.
Historically, in tougher economies, home entertainment value is really important.
That's Ted Sarandos, co-chief executive of Netflix. He's right. Recent economic uncertainty should be good for streaming services, which most U.S. adults use. In fact, in May, more Americans watched their shows on streaming platforms versus cable and broadcast for the first time ever. And while YouTube captured the most screen time that month, the platform that's most profitable and has the most subscribers is Netflix. The company's stock has been on a tear the last 3 years and recently hit a record high before pulling back some gains. Still, its performance year to date is about 4 times stronger than the broader market.
Netflix is really way out ahead of everyone else. The only place where they have real competition is with audience share. YouTube is slightly ahead of them there, but it's a very different business model. Netflix has the most subscribers by a wide margin. They have global reach. They have like a thriving content studio, and they're highly profitable. They're killing it.
Netflix is making money, lots of it. With its flywheel business model, Netflix grows its margins by reinvesting its profit into content, which attracts more users. Some analysts have been asking if Netflix's stock has gotten ahead of itself. It comes down to this: if Netflix is king or queen, where can it go from here? For most of its streaming life, Netflix's business model has relied on one thing: subscription fees.
By 2022, they had really taken the lion's share of the streaming audience. The streaming audience had sort of reached its capacity. There wasn't that much more room for growth.
As it turned 25 in 2022, it started trying out new ways to make money. That includes things you probably know about, like running ads, and things you may know less about, like a live Squid Game experience. Don't worry, nobody dies. The company is even planning large theme park-type spaces inside 2 malls, which they call Netflix House.
Netflix added advertising revenue. We see it's going into opening live venues, which is like a physical world revenue concept. And we're getting merchandise sales out of Netflix. So pursuing multiple revenue streams from one revenue stream, which is subscription, where they began.
To better understand where Netflix is going, let's go back to where it started. While it kind of seems hard to believe now, Netflix was founded as a DVD rental by mail service. It wasn't until 10 years later that it entered the streaming business in 2007. Other TV and movie streaming platforms joined later, starting with Hulu, which in contrast to Netflix, had ads from the beginning. In 2013, Netflix debuted its first original series, House of Cards. Netflix's business model relied on heavy spending for its content and marketing, which generated impressive revenues, but it wasn't enough to pay down its debt. For years, it had negative free cash flow, which basically means Netflix was spending more cash than it was bringing in. That cash burn reached $3.3 billion in 2019. But at the start of 2021, Netflix leaders announced a milestone. They would no longer need to raise external financing for their day-to-day operations. Through the pandemic, Netflix added a record number of new subscribers. Netflix and chill became part of the culture. Netflix was crushing it, creating hit shows and just seeing those subscriber numbers climb. Until
California is finally on the brink of returning to normal for the first time since March 4th of 2020.
Here in New York, once the epicenter of the virus, Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing the city will fully reopen.
By early 2022, Netflix was in a danger zone. People were returning to their pre-pandemic habits, leaving the house, and in some cases for the competition. Also sharing passwords. The company decided to put an end to that.
In 2022, the Netflix has it's really its first real rocky moment. They revealed that they've lost 1 million subscribers. It was pretty dramatic. The stock price falls 21%. It's a pretty dramatic hit to them, and they realize that maybe we have a problem here.
We saw that Netflix subscriber growth was slowing, and it was introduced on the earnings call that advertising was going to be a new way for Netflix to look to monetize their massive subscriber base and lean into this new opportunity that in the past they had said that they were never going to get into.
But wait, Netflix went into its next chapter by going to advertising, like traditional TV? Netflix launched an ad tier, offering its content for $6.99 a month with ads. In January, it raised the price by $1.
And that has helped them retain a lot of subscribers who might have churned out, as they say, for cost considerations now that may stay because it's like, hey, I can do this for less money. It also taps into a whole other revenue stream because they can now sell ads.
Netflix rolled out ads fast, partnering with Microsoft at the outset. There were early challenges, including with ad pricing and scale. With a few years under their belt, they launched an in-house advertising platform, saying this would make it easier for advertisers to buy on Netflix. Ad chief Amy Reinhard said controlling its own ad tech lets Netflix deliver new tools, better measurement, and more creative formats. The cheaper ad tier really turned things around for Netflix. The company added a record 41 million new subscribers globally last year. In total, Netflix has more than 300 million subscribers, including 94 million global monthly active users on its ad tier. So Netflix has grown up to look more like a traditional media company. And along with the likes of YouTube and Amazon, it's competing with those traditional media companies for advertising dollars.
So it's clear that Netflix is in the early innings of this advertising monetization. And we think that they've already surpassed $1 billion in advertising revenue. We project that this is going to grow to well past $9 billion.
Netflix is also taking a page from Disney and Universal and getting into theme park style experiences. If you have a hit show like Squid Game, why not give fans an immersive experience based on the show? I mean, except for obvious reasons. They've announced plans for 2 Netflix house spaces in malls in suburban Philadelphia and Dallas, plus a third location on the Las Vegas Strip, where they already have a themed restaurant.
It seems like they're looking to engage their fan base in different ways through these real experiences that they can offer and really try to build out their franchises, to allow their fans to experience this content in a different way.
Another area Netflix is pushing into is live sports. They've drawn big viewer numbers so far, with one-off events like the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul boxing match and Christmas Day NFL games. And in January, Netflix started streaming WWE wrestling, part of a $5 billion 10-year deal.
Sports is the critical piece to this entire ecosystem that keeps everything together. So as Netflix continues to look to monetize their engagement and subscriber base, we expect them to very much lean into this sports offering as a new premium way of monetizing their content and allows them to compete head-to-head for those ad dollars.
Live sports are included with subscriptions. There's no extra fee. So are mobile games, which Netflix started offering in late 2021. Netflix has said the new live offerings represent a small part of the company's overall content spending. And when it comes to revenue, subscription fees are still Netflix's bread and butter.
We estimate that less than 10% today is advertising revenue, and other forms of revenue streams are less than 2% of Netflix's total revenue, including merchandise and live events. Really, live is about feeding fandom, but fandom by definition is for individual IP properties, which is a tiny, tiny segment of Netflix's global appeal.
In terms of challenges ahead, Netflix will of course have to deal with churn as viewers pick and choose from the buffet of streaming options out there. While Netflix's share of screen time is rising, it ranked behind both YouTube and Disney in June. It doesn't have a stable of creators providing content for free like YouTube, but it has brought some prominent YouTubers, like Ms. Rachel, onto the platform.
Over the long term, we tend to keep growing as the other 50% of TV viewing migrates from linear to streaming. And we'll do that by doing what we've always done, continuously improve the service.
So Netflix has done an amazing job in terms of taking a balance sheet that at one point was under pressure given the debt offerings and the losses that they had. But clearly over the past few years, given the amount of free cash flow that they've been able to generate and the profits ahead, the balance sheet is in one of the strongest positions across the entire industry today.
Is Netflix still a disruptor, or as it gets closer to 30, is it doing things more like the last generation? Will it get more into gaming or themed experiences, or continue to try new things and launch more buzzy series and movies? Hello, K-pop demon hunters?
Not our fans. When you mess with our fans, we need to make it hurt.
One thing's for sure, Netflix isn't sitting back to binge watch something. Even though its stock slid on its latest earnings, the company reported net profit that beat analysts' expectations and solid member growth and ad sales.
For Netflix now, it's really about, can they sustain growth? And, they've positioned themselves in a lot of ways to do that, and it's really about execution now.